I'm not going to talk about that specific trade, but know that we were active during that time, and every team in the NBA was active during that time to try to help their respective franchises.
I will say that Indiana could have done better than they did.
Okay.
Dan
Tell
Gilbert,
us what you really think, Dan.
always exuding some form of arrogance to me. I mean, this is a situation where play it straight to the vest like you did with the Kyrie Irving situation. Don't throw shade at the Pacers or anybody else. We all understand that the Pacers didn't get what we expected for Paul George. We said that at the time. But, dude, you were the team that was supposed to bring him in. I don't care what happened behind the scenes. It didn't happen. You did not wind up with Paul George on the roster. You did not have a GM in place while that was taking place. So to have the gall to sit up there and act holier than thou in that situation, it just rubs people the wrong way. Because if they had landed Paul George, we'd be talking about their whole offseason, regardless of the Kyrie situation, in a whole different light.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think any of this Kyrie trade request actually would have leaked. If you believe Stephen A. that it was LeBron James's camp that leaked it, that would have never happened if Paul George was a part of the team, because that team legitimately would take a shot at the Warriors and they would want to keep that together at all costs. You know, I said sometimes these press conferences aren't necessarily for you and me. They're for season ticket holders, advertisers, fans. That part of the press conference was to Kevin Pritchard, the general manager of the Indiana Pacers. That was putting him on blast. We saw before there was a 3-team trade that had been agreed to in principle between the Cavs, the Nuggets, and the Indiana Pacers, and allegedly Pritchard pulled out at the very last minute, citing maybe the fact that he didn't want to trade his franchise player to a division rival. That, I think, is just Dan Gilbert being completely upset about that trade falling through and everything about that going awry, that he's taking a shot now and basically saying to everyone else, maybe you don't want to do business with Kevin Pritchard because everything was in place, but Indiana didn't do enough.
But this is the guy who sent a Comic Sans letter, right?
Well, I mean
so if I'm
so
a
he
fan,
can never, ever criticize anyone because of the Comic Sans?
Well, I think because of the way he's run the franchise. I mean, we're dealing with it right now. They're in turmoil, utter turmoil. They can say whatever they want. So if I'm a fan, let me just put it that way, and I'm watching, I'm thinking to myself, I don't care that Kevin Pritchard backed out, make the deal happen. Isn't that what we always say? You always say, like, no excuses for players and all that.
Well, you can't make a deal happen if one person doesn't want to do it. I mean, if it was all in place where if Kevin Love was going to go to the Nuggets, Paul George to the Cavs, and then it was going to be Gary Harris and pieces to Indiana, and then Indiana says, oh, wait a minute, no.
But is that like,
what are you going to do?
When you say Gary Harris and pieces, does that exactly blow you away?
No, and maybe that's why he was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Maybe Victor Oladipo and Sabonis was a better deal.